Well, that was idiotic. Off to hang myself. Off and left.
So the patch notes for 7.4 just came out in Valorant, and let's just say this patch definitely has some insane meta changes. So yeah, in this video, I'm just gonna be going over all the patch notes, let you know what I think of them, and also try to explain them. And of course, if you did enjoy this video, hit the like button below and subscribe, as I am trying to reach 10k subs by the end of the year. So you subbing would help me out greatly. And with that out of the way, let's go on to the patch notes. So I'm going to be going over the small changes first, and then I'm going to leave all the major stuff to the end. And the first small change that we have is Brimstone's ultimate, which got increased from 7 to 8 ult orbs. This is a trend that happened this entire update. They basically made the requirement for ult orbs way higher. So overall, I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to make ultimates way more valuable and make it that you can't really, you got to pick the perfect time to use it, because it's less likely that you're going to be getting it again. The next change is the Prowler, where basically the time to re-equip your gun has been increased. So basically what they're doing is they're basically doing this same thing to literally every single initiator, where they basically want to make it that when you use your initiator util, it's not for yourself and it's for your team. Overall, as someone who plays initiator, sometimes I find these changes kind of really annoying nowadays, because effectively what it does is basically, as an initiator, you're always going to be utiling for your team, meaning that you're not going to be getting as much kills, and it's basically just, oh yeah, be a slave to your duelist. KJ's ult requirement has went from 8 to 9. This is the first time ever that an ult will be requiring 9 ult orbs. Overall, I'm not surprised with this change, because KJ is still very much very meta. When it comes to Omen, his paranoia now no longer has a movement velocity change whenever you're casting it. Basically, what I think this is basically you don't get slowed down. It's either you don't get slowed down while you're casting his blind, or when you're moving, your position doesn't impact how slow it goes. So for example, our old one works how, like, let's just say you're moving backwards, it'll go slower. If you're moving forwards, it'll go faster. So it's either they're changing the movement speed decrease on cast, or they're making it that your basically stance changes how fast it goes. For Sova, the total amount of scans from his recon bolt has now went from 3 to 2. To be honest, I don't understand this change. Usually his recon bolt gets shot out fast enough, so I really don't know what this would change, but still an interesting change, I guess. Viper's Pit went from 8 to 9, similar to Killjoy. Now onto some bigger changes. Breach's ultimate, of course, has went from 8 to 9 overall. Basically makes it that really you're gonna be getting his ultimate way less. And they also changed how his aftershock works. So now instead of it having 3 explosions, it's now only gonna have 2. But in return, now they're, instead of them doing 60 damage, it's gonna be doing 80 damage per explosion. So basically, this will be, I think this change is just so you know your aftershock will be killing way faster, but will last way shorter. For Gecko, they basically made his mosh pit now into an actual molly, as it will be doing 10 damage per second before exploding. Wingman's HP went from 100 to 80, so basically now instead of it taking like 3 Vandal shots, it'll take 2 Vandal shots. But when it comes to the Phantom will still be requiring 3 shots. And also, Thrash's explosion had basically a little makeover to make it easier to see and understand that the area has affected. So basically, this will just be like, so you understand more what was in the explosion and what wasn't in the explosion. For Sky, the flight duration for her flash has went down from 2.5 to 2 seconds. I think this is to combat fake flashes where Skies just fly their flash, so people would look away, but then they don't even pop it in the first place. The Trailblazer HP went from 100 to 80, same thing like Wingman. Now it'll be only taking 2 Vandal shots instead of 3. And Seeker's ultimate requirement went from 7 to 8. and the health went from 3 to 150 to 120. So basically now instead of requiring 4 Vandal shots, it'll be requiring instead 3. But of course for Phantom, it'll still be the same. For Astra, it's kind of a mix of a buff and a nerf because when it comes to her gravity well, it is definitely a nerf because now it'll be lasting for 0.75 seconds shorter, and the startup time will be going from 1.6 seconds to 1.25 seconds. So overall, the gravity well is going to be a little bit weaker. I don't think it's going to be too bad, but it's definitely going to be weaker. But when it comes to the Nova Pulse, it's definitely going to be a buff because it went from 1.25 seconds to cast to 1 second, which is better. Because in my opinion, the Nova Pulse definitely is an ability that could be better, and I think this might be enough. And when it comes to her ultimate, the Cosmic Divide, now it completely blocks off audio instead of muffling it, which is now going to make holding a spike 10 times harder because you don't know if they're tapping the spike or not. You're just going to have to, guess, run in and check. And now on to the biggest nerfs. Like, these nerfs are so big that it's the equivalent of just going over to Jett and putting 3 bullets into her fucking side. Like, she's going to be way weaker. And let's start for Dash, which now the dash window has been like almost cut in half. It went from 12 seconds to 7.5. Maybe I don't understand why this happened, but overall, when it comes to me and when I play Jett, I don't really think this was a change that needed to happen. Also, the activation window went up from 0.75 to 1 second. Personally, I don't see the impact of this change this much because usually if you get caught out and you don't have your dash, you don't even have 0.75 seconds to pull it out, So honestly, this change means nothing. When it comes to Cloudburst, the duration went from 4.5 seconds to 2.5 seconds. And also, just like Fade, the time to pull out her gun has been increased, which I can kind of understand this change because the amount of times I fight a Jett and they just spam their smokes to like get out of the fight is kind of BS. When it comes to her updrafts, the charges went from 2 to 1. Personally, this is the biggest change that I don't like. Personally, I think that Jett should have a secondary updraft because there's so many things that get associated with the double updraft. Like, for example, one strat is that you pop your ultimate and double updraft and maybe get someone over a wall. Personally, I think that that's an interaction that's fine in the game because even though, yes, you can catch people off guard, whenever a Jett does that, she basically broadcasts that she is doing it. And many times I do just shoot the Jett out of the sky. So personally, this is one thing that I kind of don't like. And just like all the other ultimates, her went from 7 to 8. So overall, all of these changes are just a total assassination of Jett. And personally, I kind of understand why these changes were made, but I'm definitely not happy with them because I'm not a Jett main, but I do miss the old days, the good old days where Jett could dash whenever she wanted. She had 3 smokes. Her knives were 6 ult orbs, insta refreshed on right click. So I am kind of nostalgic of that. And overall, I am just kind of sad that I swear, like, they're just nerfing her hard. Like, I thought that her last dash nerf was bad enough, but nah, they did it even more. So yeah, overall, let me know what you think of these changes. Personally, I think that they went kind of crazy on these patch notes. Like, they are definitely gonna be changing up the meta of this. So overall, comment down below what you think of these changes, and I'll see you guys all later. Goodbye.